Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. I am still your purchase and pricing email contact. For the price of this or any watch you see on any of our platforms, please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. Today we're discussing a watch that was launched in 2005 and made through 2012. This is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Calendar, and it is the embodiment of two long-running threads of JLC wristwatch history. Since at least the caliber 412 of the 1930s, JLC has a calendar wristwatch in its catalog, a constant through the decades. And since the Powermatic caliber 481 of the late 1940s, it has consistently had a power reserve automatic watch in the catalog. This watch is both a power reserve automatic and a calendar, the best of both. In stainless steel, it's 40.5 millimeters in diameter, 13.4 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip. It is 48 millimeters with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. I will throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it wears nicely. A timepiece that is broad but not too broad across the wrist. I could recommend it for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. Here's your over the top, which always exaggerates the span of the watch. The down the barrel is better. Here you can see I've got a little bit of clearance on each side for a slightly smaller wrist. And although it's not a super thin watch, it does feature a generously sloped bezel, so it will slide underneath most wrist cuffs. We have a medium rectangular scale alligator leather strap with a medium brown, semi-gloss treatment, a monotone stitch, a broad but folded edge. It looks like it might be shear cut, but it's folded vertically. And then on the bottom, you can see that this is a brand new Jaeger-LeCoultre factory strap with calfskin on the bottom, no crimping, no gouging, and the company's latest pull tab spring bars, so you can quickly pop the strap off of the case without a tool. You can see here, we also have a double folding clasp in stainless steel, and it is a friction fit clasp. The nice thing about a deployant clasp, it protects you against accidentally dropping your watch in a way a pin buckle can't, because it creates a continuous loop with the other side of the strap, making it harder to drop. Now, this is not a deployant clasp that would have been contemporaneous to the watch. This watch was sold somewhat later after its production run ended, which means it actually has a second generation double deployant clasp on it, which is very desirable because the second gen clasp was upgraded with a push button release. So if you push here, the second generation double deployant pops off of the strap without a tool. So you can remove the strap from the case without a tool, but you can also remove the clasp from the strap, so strap swapping becomes super easy and tool-free if you have this later deployant clasp, which fortunately this watch sold later on does. Taking a look at the case, it's a relatively simple design that was used across the board for this generation of master controls that debuted back in the 2000s. You'll also note the design was used across the master compressors, so it'll be very familiar from that period. Vertical shear sides, blended lugs. The lugs are relatively narrow when viewed end-on across this series, and all of them feature a soft bevel along their shoulder. We have some pusher correctors here that are integrated to allow correction of the calendar. The bezel is conical, and you can see slightly stepped in from the case band with a very short vertical face. This helps to visually thin out the watch. Now, we do have a stop seconds function, so when I pull the crown out, it stops the blue lacquered small seconds hands. You can set the watch to a reference time if you want. You can see that the alpha style hands, as well as the applique indices, they have been blackened for exquisite contrast on the silver sunburst base of this dial, and they're half frosted, which makes their contrast level higher. We have a blue alpha style lacquered power reserve indicator, and the watch has a power reserve of 43 hours when fully energized. Reserve de marche just means power reserve en français, and JLC, out of the Vallée du Jeu in the village of Le Sentier, has been known as the watchmaker's watchmaker for decades because very often it would build movements for other August houses that did not have the capability. So JLC, famous for making movements that powered the Swiss watch industry at the high end, and the power reserve, one of its house specialties. There is a lunette style date indicator, so you have the day, you have the date, you have the month, you have a moon phase that requires adjustment roughly every 2 years and 7 months. And then you have the lunette system for indicating the date radially, which is why it is arrayed in radial fashion all the way around the dial. I actually find this one of the easiest of the master calendars to read because you just read it 1, 2, 3, just like that. Flip it over, display case back. Note, 5 ATM water resistance. Most dress watches are 3. JLC dress watches, with very few exceptions, are 5. So going above and beyond. Master 1000 hours control. Introduced in 1992 on the Master Grand Tie, it is a 1000-hour test of chronometry in 6 positions of the fully assembled watch, not the bare movement, testing power reserve, winding efficiency, durability, water resistance, and yes, chronometry in 6 positions, with the standard for the Master Series generally being +6, -1 second. Remember, chronometer standard, the 3159, the COSC, they allow watches to lose up to 4 seconds per 24 hours. Master 1000 hours control for the Master Series. Every series at JLC has a different tolerance, but for this, +6, -1. Unidirectional winder with ceramic rotor bearings. Ceramic because they're unlubricated, maintenance-free, and operate with little friction compared to steel. And unidirectional winding because JLC found through on-the-wrist testing that unidirectional winding is more efficient than bidirectional. A bygone era. This generation of Master Calendar featured a 22-karat mass on the rotor. Not 21, not 18, and God help us, not rose gold-plated tungsten. This is the real deal, 22 being super dense, making for a more efficient winder. 43-hour power reserve, 4 Hertz beat rate, 41 pivot joules. You can see a free sprung balance for greater precision of adjustment and greater shock resistance. This is the caliber 924, which is based on the 890 architecture. 890 was the successor to the 889. And the big difference is being unidirectional winding, spire profile gears on the train that create less friction, and the free sprung oscillator. And of course, there is an efficient medley here of hand finish and of mechanical finish, but JLC movements of this era always included a blend of two. They're just not completely machine-made. There are artisanal elements of hand finishing here, and my favorite traditional element being the fire-blued screws, which are not chemically dyed, but fired the old-fashioned way in a kiln. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am T. Mosso at thewatchbox.com, and as you can see, day or night, this watch looks all right. Again, that is T. Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing.